this. The Norwegian government give to the Jehovah Witnesses as a gift 15 million kroner every year. 15 million kroner every year. And Jehovah Witnesses could say, no, we do not want this money. But believe me, Jehovah Witnesses want this money. So Watchtower get 15 million kroner, about 50 million kroner every year from the government in Norway. And the thing is, now the government is making a probe into this because this is election year. And Jehovah Witnesses are basically not allowed to vote. So there's a lot of articles here. And if you're a Jehovah Witness watching this, I can give you the good news that you're not persecuted. A lot of these articles, all of them, I would say, try to see both sides of the story. Watchtower get to tell their side of the story. The apostates, like myself, get to tell their side of the story. This article here is about Jehovah Witnesses going to jail in Russia. And I, even though I'm an apostate, I believe that's wrong. I believe in freedom of religion. If someone wants to be a Jehovah Witness, he should be that. And see this article down here. There's also another guy, and he goes out, he's a worldly guy, and he goes out and support Jehovah Witnesses. Because Jehovah Witnesses are humans, and humans have human rights. So that's nice, and there's a lot of articles here. This lady here, that's Gry. She was disfellowshipped after a rape, and she took this to court, and she actually won. So the court said that she must be reinstated, and the way they argue is that we cannot decide what you should believe. But when you join a religion like the Jehovah Witness, there's an implied contract that you should be treated with respect. It's a loving organization and stuff like that. And a part of that implied contract is that you should not be disfellowshipped when you're a rape victim and the elders know you're a rape victim. That's kind of the use of it. So she was actually reinstated by the court, probably to end up in High Court. This is Supreme Court. This is my old Kingdom Hall, and this is a lady accusing Jehovah Witnesses of harboring sexual offenders against children, and she's talking about the Australian Royal Commission. If you don't believe me because I'm an apostate, try to go to Australian Royal Commission and look for Geoffrey Jackson, because Geoffrey Jackson is not an apostate. I am. And here is a good-looking apostate with a goat called Marie Antoinette. So what I want to show you today is this article. This is an apostate called Jan Frode Nilsen. He's a friend of mine. He's also been on Lloyd Evans Channel, and he tells the story about the first time he voted. So this is, he took a selfie, and he was nervous because you'll basically be disfellowshipped if you're a Jehovah Witness. And then we have this guy. This is Rolf Furuli, and Rolf Furuli is famous for being a scholar, kind of the only scholar that support Jehovah Witnesses theory of 607 being the basis for 1914. And the funny thing with this, kind of the only scholar that supports them, is that he's also now an apostate. He wrote a book called My Beloved Religion and the Governing Body. So he was kicked out, and he's a believing Jehovah Witness. So he basically say that he's still giving money to Watchtower, and he believes it's wrong to vote, but it's also wrong to disfellowship someone to vote. So the question is, are Jehovah Witnesses allowed to vote? Here it says, government funding, Statsstøtte, says that in 2019, a spokesperson for Jehovah Witnesses in Scandinavia said to Vårt Land that members that vote or take part in political life will be disfellowshipped. And we all know that that's true. You will be disfellowshipped if you do that. But then the problem is here, it goes on here, it says that Kjell Ingolf Ropstad, he's the minister that hands out the money, was worried about it. Because the amount of money they get here it says 15.4 million Norwegian kroner, and that's for 2019. If a religion use violence, force, threats, or basic coercion, or in other way violates other people's rights, like constitutional right, human rights, this religion will not get the government funding. So what do Jehovah Witnesses do? It would be okay for Jehovah Witnesses to say that we do not want cash from Satan's system, because Satan's system clearly say that we must respect human rights, and we do not believe in human rights for apostates. We believe in human rights for Jehovah Witnesses in Russia. We believe in human rights for Jehovah Witnesses in Norway. But we do not believe in human rights for ex-Jehovah Witnesses. We do not believe in human rights for children that was baptized as Jehovah Witnesses and changed their mind when they grow up. We only want human rights for Jehovah Witnesses. So this is kind of weird. It's okay for them to say, no, we don't want the money, but they say, we want the money and we want to violate the conditions of this gift. Normally, if someone give you 15 million Norwegian kroner, there is a hook, and it's not a secret. Some religions would say no to this money. I know some religions, like charismatic evangelic religions, they say, no, the money comes from Satan's system, so we don't want it. But Jehovah Witnesses say, the money comes from Satan's system and we want it. That's the problem now. So I'm going to read what they say. They say, the decision to be neutral in political blah 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 is a personal decision that everyone take as an individual based on his understanding in the Bible. And if someone in our religion choose to be part of the political blah 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 or cast a vote, Jehovah Witnesses will see this as that person chose to leave the religion. There will therefore be an announcement in the congregation that says, name of person is no longer one of Jehovah Witnesses. So what they try to do here, I will leave you the link in the description. They basically say that you're allowed to vote, but then you will no longer be a Jehovah Witnesses, and it was your choice. If I would say that it's legal to rob the bank, but if you do, you would respect your choice that you would prefer to live in a prison for the rest of your life. Well, that would be a way of lying. And to say that if you vote, you will not be disfellowshipped, there will just be an announcement that name of person is no longer one of Jehovah Witnesses. If you're a Jehovah Witness watching this, good for you. But ask me one thing. What do you call it? Because I used to be a Jehovah Witness. When they announce at the meeting that name of person is no longer one of Jehovah Witnesses, what will you say? Will you say, well, I'm glad he's not disfellowshipped? No, you would say he is disfellowshipped. So I would say that Jehovah Witnesses here are lying to the government because they want money. While Jehovah Witnesses get government funding, they sent in 2010 92.3 million Norwegian kroner out of Norway. I support Jehovah Witnesses' right not to vote. I do not support their right to lie to the government. And I do not support their right to violate other people's rights, because that's the general idea with human rights, that my right cannot violate your right. My freedom of speech cannot violate your right of not being subject to hate speech. I can't walk around claiming that witches should be burned. Maybe you're a witch and you don't want to be burned. The newspaper make an effort to show both sides of the story, and Watchtower is allowed to tell their sides of the story, and they do. So this is what they write, and it says, Vi står vid vår uttalelse. It means we stand by what we previously said. And this is Fabian Fond that writes that Jehovah Witnesses are politically neutral. They have respect for the individual's fundamental right to decide for himself, and we do not coerce or try to threaten someone to not partake in elections. That you will be disfellowshipped or disassociated if they find out about it. If they find out about it, you will, like when I was a Jehovah Witnesses, I voted and the elders came to me and I just refused it because of the 2 witness rule. So there was one Jehovah Witness. I don't know who witnessed against me, but so much for the Holy Spirit, by the way. The elders don't have anything to do what I cast a vote or not, so I didn't admit it and I wasn't disfellowshipped. But when they say that we have respect, it's the same word in Norwegian, for the individual's right, and we do not have any form of coercion. Every Jehovah Witness have made a personal decision to be neutral in politics and this choice is based on his or her conscience, and it's a result of his or her understanding of the Bible. How do you know? How do the spokesperson that Watchtower hire and pay a very limited salary, but is paid by a printing organization that get 15 million kroner in cash? How do you know that 12,000 people agree with you? How is it possible to say in a public statement that 12,000 people agree with you for the rest of their life? 12,000 people, that means that at least one of them changed their mind every year. And maybe they want to vote. This basically admits to be a mind-controlling cult, that he can decide what other people believe. And then he says, this deep religious thing is a personal matter. How can you know it's a personal matter? You haven't spoken to all of them on an individual basis. And if a Jehovah Witness would go to this spokesperson for Watchtower and say, you know, I'm going to vote this year, or I already voted, then Brother Fon would on a personal level see it as his personal responsibility as an elder to report him, and that person would lose his family. Watchtower's official statement include a section that makes me sad on a personal level, and that's the one about disfellowshipping and suicide. So here it says that Furuli, the apostate that used to be the district overseer in Norway, he claims that many people that are disfellowshipped will take their own life, and that Watchtower have some kind of moral responsibility for this. And how do Watchtower respond? It says here that it's a shocking and statement that should not be taken serious. There are many factors that might lead to tragic suicide, and he mentioned mental, social and economic factors. And then he says to mention Jehovah Witnesses is unreasonable or uansvarlig in Norwegian. So we all know that disfellowshipped people often commit suicide. My uncle was disfellowshipped and commit suicide. And this person, he claims to be the spokesperson of 12,000 people. He say that all of these 12,000 people agree with me. It's a deeply personal decision not to vote. It's their personal decision. He claims to be speaking about their conscience. And still, when he hears about suicide, his first reaction is to, don't bring reproach on Watchtower's name. And he mentioned, oh, it's not our fault, it might be mental, social and economical factors. Well, yeah, but wouldn't you say that leaving a cult, being disfellowshipped like Gry, she was disfellowshipped after a rape, wouldn't that constitute a mental factor? And it says social factor. Well, losing your whole family, wouldn't that be a social factor? And economical factor, well, like first time I woke up from the brainwashing, I was working for Watchtower. They were my employer. And if I would tell them that, I think I will vote in the next election, I would not only lose my family, I would lose my job. There's a lot of people that work for Watchtower and will lose their job if they vote. So when they say that there might be mental, social, economical factor, yeah, that sums up disfellowshipping. Why can't you own up to what you do? If you believe in shunning, embrace it. I used to believe that Jehovah Witnesses were a loving organization, but we see the spokesperson, his first instinct is to make sure no one can blame Watchtower. We're talking about brothers and sisters that go through hell, and some of them commit suicide, we know that. But his first response is, it might be not our fault. It's preposterous to say it's something to do with us. Imagine if someone would say something preposterous to me. If someone would say that people commit suicide because I'm ugly, I would say, please don't commit suicide. That would be my first response. Not like, oh, this is defamation on my face. No. I don't care if it's true or false. If someone say that they commit suicide because I'm ugly, I will say, please don't commit suicide. That's the important. My reputation as a beautiful person comes secondary to people commit suicide. If you believe that Satan giving you cash because you're persecuted and you take the cash, you're not really persecuted. And then if the Norwegian legislation, Norway is a good country, a good democratic country, say that we respect your right to be Jehovah Witnesses. The reason why Jehovah Witnesses get cash is because Norway is not a secular state, it's a religious state. So we have an official religion, that's Lutheranism. And then since we also have freedom of religion, means that since the government have a favorite religion, they also give something to the others. It's a long story, we'll not go into that. It's a historic thing. But basically they say, since we are Lutherans and we give them some favors, we should be fair and give everyone favors. Because this is a democracy and everyone has the freedom of religion. So say, Jehovah Witnesses, you have freedom of religion and it would be fair to give you 15 million kroner. The only thing is that you do us the favor back and you respect human rights. And Watchtower say, yes, we will like the money. However, when it comes to honoring our part of the deal and respect the human rights of apostates, we're not going to do that. We're not going to pay the money back, and if you ask us to give the money back, we will tell everyone that we're persecuted. You're not persecuted when they give you cash. Just say no to the money. There's a lot of religions that say no, thank you. If you're a Jehovah Witness watching this, please don't be offended. I have nothing against you as a person. So, that was everything from Goatlike Personalities. Like and subscribe. See you in paradise.